Okay, would like to call today's session of Richmond Exempted Village School District Board of Education back into session. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the agenda as presented.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Second the story. All right. Any discussion? Roll call.
All right, Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Dufault,
Yes.
Mr. Wood.
Yes.
All right. First up, recognition and rewards.
You know what time it is, don't you?
First item is-
Yes.
We get double the pleasure today. We have our reschedule from December, and also then Locust Corner will be here as well. So, Mr. Roach, since you're first on the agenda, why don't you come forward and recognize some well-deserving people?
Great.
Good evening. Tonight I have the privilege of recognizing two of our Locust Corner students who have demonstrated outstanding perseverance and improvement in their core academic content areas. So I want to welcome them up. I am thrilled to present the Beth Webster Leading Lion Award to third grader Zach Gabriel. So Zach, come on up. I promise I won't ask you any questions. And also fourth grader Alexander Xander Ross. As you know, we carefully monitor student growth, not height, but using our MAP benchmark assessments. And during the winter benchmark, LCE had 32 students achieve the highest possible growth percentile on either their reading, their math, or their science. Zach and Xander took that one step further by achieving in the 99th percentile on growth on multiple assessments. So not just one, but two or three. Zach scored in the 99th percentile, growth percentile in both reading and the math test. And Xander scored in the 99th percentile in the reading, math, and on the science test. To put this into perspective, achieving a growth percentile of 99% means that out of 100 students nationally, only one student would have grown more on the test. And Zach and Xander's achievement really is quite impressive. Zach and Xander, your hard work is a model for what we expect all of our students in our school and in our district to do. I also want to give a big thank you to their teachers, some of whom are here tonight. I know, because I've seen them. There's one, Mrs. Clark, also Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Floria, and also to their parents for educating them and continuing to push them to succeed. So once again, congratulations to Zach and Xander.
You guys ready to go to high school next year?
They are.
I think you could handle it.
These two are shining stars.
And I love the bingo sweatshirt, so that's a plus, right? Would you gentlemen please come out, and would your families like to join us for a picture? We can post on our website, please.
Families, come on up. We'll do a picture real quick. Come on up, guys.
You can.
That's awesome. This is great.
It's easy.
It's a whole group.
Stand over here with me.
Okay. I thought it would fit, it's not. Just chair out the way real quick. There. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Great job. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And next we have Mr. Lilly with the middle school presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I need to start, I think, with a thank you to the middle school teachers because we have been trying to do this for months and months, and we've picked up steam each month, and more teachers have come out to support the Beth Webster Leading Lion Award, which is awesome. So thank you all for being here to watch this. I have two people who I would like to acknowledge as well. One student, one staff member. So I want to do the student first before I move on to the staff member. James Vale, come on up here, sir. So I just took a few notes just to give you a little bit of background about James. So since he's been at the middle school, he has taken all 10 advanced classes that he could have possibly taken and excelled at all of them. He's also this year taken a couple of high school advanced classes for credit, Spanish and algebra, so that's awesome as well. While at the middle school, he's been involved in football, basketball, and track as a 7th grader, and doing track this year too? Yes, sir. Yeah, so football, basketball, and track as an 8th grader this year as well. While all of that is awesome and great and keeps him busy, obviously since we couldn't get him here until now, that's not at all why he's here. So some of this he probably doesn't even know about, but there's been several instances this year alone where I've had people who have come to me and asked me who he was, to praise him and say, what a very nice young man that is, how kind he is, and they would explain a little situation that they observed him doing. I had a cafeteria worker come to me and want to know who he was because of some of the stuff they observed him doing in the cafeteria that was positive. I had a classified aide that didn't know James because she's not really in the classes that he's in, but same thing. Saw him doing stuff when no one was looking type of situation. And the positive reports like that go on, and I've seen it with my own eyes as well. Today, for example, he was in the cafeteria picking stuff off the floor that I know he didn't throw on the floor, but his group of buddies did, and he takes ownership of that and shows what a leader really is. And that's why I wanted to recognize him. So it's the way that he handles himself when he's out on the basketball court. I see that more than the football. I can't tell who's who on the football field, but on the basketball court, I know who's who. And the way that you handle yourself out there, and the way you treat opponents as well as teammates is commendable and respectful, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
So this, I'm sorry.
Do we want to do them all at once, or pictures now and then next?
Do the other one. Let's do the other one.
Let's do the other one too. Well, the Gabriel family is getting recognized a lot tonight.
We did not plan that.
No, we didn't. Joe told me in the other room. So this is great, again, that everybody is here, and Kelly's former family from Locust Corner, some of them here as well. So again, I'm happy about that. But Kelly and I have a little bit of a personal connection in addition to a professional connection with Kelly. She was my son's 6th grade math teacher as well, so I got to see her from both lenses, and I've had nothing but positive experiences out of my time with Kelly Gabriel. Not at all why I recommended her for this. So last year when Kelly moved into the guidance counselor position, the year started out like strong, awesome, and then like one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. And it started really in January with Ms. Gully being out for like 6 weeks and me leaning on Kelly kind of as like my assistant, and then I was out, and then we had tragedy after tragedy, and Kelly remained our rock. Like mine, the staff, the kids, everybody's rock, and consistent throughout it all. And last year I think was probably the busiest year for her, on top of being our rock. She planned our career day in my absence, pretty much took care of that, so thank you for that. Took care of the students in crisis and the staff in crisis when we had our melee throughout the year. Took care of all of the scheduling last year without any input from me because I wasn't there. So really just handling it. This year, I see her at every event. I see her at plays. I see her at music events. I see her at sporting events. I see her here early. I see her here late. She's at everything, and she is always smiling. She is always a positive influence in our building. She is most definitely a leader of our building. She is a leader of our kids. And I know I'm missing stuff that I want to say, The other thing that she works 24/7. We have something that I'm sure many of you guys don't know about, but we have something that's called Securely. So if a kid is searching something that's harmful to them or to others, we get notified. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. And I know, because I see the responses that she puts in there, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, she is up working for the good of our kids when no one's looking and no one's praising her for it, and making sure that our kids stay safe and our community stays safe and our school stays safe. So, thank you. And you definitely deserve it.
You gave two great examples of leadership, one from the student, one from the staff perspective. And what's the old saying? It's your character is how you act when no one's around and no one's looking. And we just gave two just incredible examples of that. So honored to have both of you here as part of this community. It'd be great if we could do some pictures. That'd be awesome. Come forward with your families.
You can't slide up.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Good job.
He shows up. He shows up.
Okay, next on the agenda is superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. So, with Mr. Lilly exploring some different options in his career, and we want to continue to build on the great things that are taking place in the middle school. Whenever a staff member leaves, and we're not of unlimited means and resources here, always challenge our administrative team. Is there another way to look at this? Can we reimagine this? Can we repurpose? Can we do it differently? Can we be better? So this opportunity is going to, this opportunity is here for us right now in terms of transitioning, changing to a 6-12 campus as opposed to two separate and distinct buildings. I think there's a lot, there's some very, very incorrect information out there, but I want to talk to our board first. I always want to give deference to our board as the elected leaders, present the information to them first. And then, so that's what I'm doing here. If there are still questions that are outstanding about this transition, myself and Mr. Stewart in the future will be, very soon, we'll be having a parent information night to answer any other questions. But I think once you hear these next 6 slides, it'll really fill in a lot of gaps for you. So it's really simple, the org chart, and please don't laugh. I put a lot of time into this, creating this, right? So Joe Stewart, he does a great job as a high school principal, a very good instructional leader. I would like for him to lead the be the 6-12 principal. So the middle school parent asks, who's the principal? It's Joe Stewart. The high school parent asks, who's the principal? It's Joe Stewart. I would like to replace the middle school principalship with an associate principal. This person would be directly responsible to the principal and would have direct oversee of both buildings, would help to oversee student, staff, programming, and so forth. For what it's worth, many years ago, before I became a principal, my last assistant's job is I was an associate principal. It was a great training ground for me to prepare to be a principal. Then underneath them would be high school assistant and middle school assistant. So it's 4 head count for 4 head count. It's not really, it's definitely not a cost increase, and we're probably saving a few $1,000s, maybe $10,000 or less, but give or take. So right now the high school assistant is obviously Larry Kozlowski, the middle school assistant is Jason Lynch, but that would be the structure, the hierarchy of the secondary system. And just to drill that down a little bit further, and Mr. Stewart, he's been here the past few years at the high school. He knows he wants to build more and deeper relationships with middle school staff, he was even thinking of moving like his office, like where he hangs his hat every day, into the middle school and probably the associate of the high school. But the visioning is both the associate and the principal spend both times and spend their days in both buildings, back and forth, back and forth. It's just a big building. Just think of it as a big building. It's all about the kids, right? Right. So I just brainstormed a few advantages for kids. The biggest thing is the continuity in education. From 6th grade through 12th grade, there's this consistent transition going from middle school into high school. There's an opportunity for some peer mentorship, consistent support systems. Definitely Miss Gabriel should still be our middle school counselor, Miss Atkinson, Miss Coulter will be our high school counselors, but how much easier it'll be now for them to work together, advisors, our support staff, 6 and 12. Enhanced social integration, and I want to really emphasize that last bullet point, which I bold-faced. Most importantly, almost all students will not experience a difference in a normal school day. Like on the surface, they're going to come together on a bus, hasn't changed. Badge their way in, hasn't changed. Go to their first period class, hasn't changed. The difference is going to be what's happening underneath. It's in the culture, the environment, the classroom experience, and the instruction. I'm hanging my hat on that. I would also like to use this time to have a secondary athletic director. Our middle school athletics, I've been here I'm completing my 5th year. One thing that has been consistent, our middle school, we pay a supplemental for middle school athletics, and it's not and what it should be for the work that we expect. And we've been through a lot of middle school athletic directors, and it shows, because it's hard. You need visioning to buy equipment, for uniforms, for facilities, someone to oversee this with a 7-12 perspective. And that's why that last bullet point, purchasing uniforms, equipment, will now be done with a 7-12 perspective. So we're going to enhance their safety and their experience. We shouldn't have, our kids should be wearing hand-me-down athletic gear, nor uniforms. And so moving to a campus athletic director will help to solve that. Advantages for staff. When I go back to the curriculum instruction, assessment, and the experience, is now when there's a language arts department meeting, it won't be just 4 or 5 teachers. It'll be 8, 9, 10 teachers of the middle schools and the high schools, both talking horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, and I even highlighted that the 3rd bullet in boldfoot. It will be superior vertical alignment. No longer can the 9th grade teacher of any subject say, well, the 8th grade teacher didn't teach them what they need to, so for the first quarter, I'm going to have to reteach what was supposed to have been taught. That's just a waste of time. That should never, ever happen. When every teacher's on the same page in terms of, here's what I'm responsible for, and what I call, you always want a clean handoff. So I'm going to send off Mr. Duvall to the next level, and he's ready for his next level in those grades. Again, everybody here is very intelligent. I'm not going to sit here and read it to you. We'll be here till midnight. But I just brainstormed. Here are the highlights, advantages for staff. How about for parents? Studies show one of the hardest transitions in a kid's school-age career is moving from 8th to 9th grade. That's when we society, high schools, we lose a lot of kids that year. Once you get one of these two things, if you get behind in your credits, or get you're over age, either one of those, it will put you behind the 8 ball. If you have both those, it will be a huge effort to get your diploma at your senior year. So we're trying to avoid that. A unified school community, a consistent communication channel. There's an issue, who do you call? You call Joe Stewart. Middle school, Joe Stewart. High school, Joe Stewart. And then he can divvy out as needed be. The long-term relationships as a parent, once you come as a 6th grader, yes, there will be different teachers and so forth throughout the course of your high school career, but the principal's going to be the same. The associate principal is going to be the same. A lot of the support staff is going to be the same. So you have a chance to really build some deep relationships. And I'm a relationship person. I think that's very, very important. I can't tell you how many times when I've talked with parents. My whole life I was a high school principal, and you'd come in and you meet with parents who are frustrated because they're having a hard time seeing the end game for the next 4 years. The courses they want to take and all the things they want to avail themselves of. But now if we have a principal that 6th grade and 7th grade are saying, hey, here's what this is going to look like, not just 6, 7, 8, but 9, 10, 11, 12. Because it's that same voice telling you those things. There's advantages for the district. We're going to be better facility usage. And I get it. I was principal for a lot of years. You get in your fishbowl, and I didn't know that maybe down the street the junior high was needing a space to meet because they had an assembly on and did this. And here I was sitting on some spaces they could use my building to meet in. Those days are over because Joe and the associate are going to oversee both buildings, and we're going to use both spaces. Libraries, gyms, common spaces, reduce redundancy and underutilization, improve resource allocation, streamline administration. It gives us greater flexibility for staff scheduling and allocation. With kids with special needs, gifted needs. I mean, we're a small district. We have 2,000 kids here. So we don't have the good fortune to be blessed with lots of resources. Whenever we have a need, we just hire a teacher. We don't have that. So we got to piece it together like a puzzle the best way that we can. By having a more unified approach, it will allow us to do that. What I'd like to do is on the agenda for tonight. I'd like to give. I'm asking for approval for the associate principal job opening. This is a new position. I created this. I created the job description. If I could get that posted, let that open for a couple weeks, I think it will get a lot of traffic. I think it'll draw some people. I'll organize a committee for interviews because it's an important hire. It's a district kind of hire, and we'll involve obviously teachers, staff. We'll ask for some board representation, parents, a couple kids. I mean, we should maybe get a couple committees going. That's how I've done things in the past. And then Mr. Stewart, he's out right now on bereavement leave, so he'll be gone for some days. But when he comes back, we'll organize a parent information night. It'll be just like this, just kind of present the information, answer whatever questions you have. We'll complete the interviews in the meantime for the associate's job. Ideally, and I won't rush this for the sake of just to hit a timeline, ideally, I would like to have somebody to recommend to the board for the associate principal's opening by the March board meeting. So, in a nutshell, that's it. We're fortunate that Mr. Kozlowski and Mr. Stewart both have worked in 712 buildings, so they bring that experience to the table, and I think we're in a really fortunate position. I'd like to take a second. They couldn't be here. Mr. Kozlowski is just reading into the record what he states. Works on a campus 712 has many advantages. A combined campus can offer a wide range of academic pathways and resources, allowing students to explore various interests and career paths at an earlier age. It also allows for a seamless transition from middle school to high school without having to adjust to a new environment. It allows to offer more personalized support services such as academic counseling, mental health resources, and intervention programs to meet the diverse needs of our students across grade levels. At Deer Park, which is where he was, our oldest students served as mentors and role models for younger students, fostering a sense of community and providing support and guidance. My experience is that we will create a community feel. Being one main campus, we will be in bold type the new Richmond Lions. That was Mr. Kozlowski. Mr. Stewart, again, dealing with the death of the family, but took some time out to send this. The biggest advantage for a combined campus is allows for cohesion, collaboration, and implementation for a united pathway for all students 6 through 12. Aligning expectations and standard across all grades will allow us to consistently and strategically set all students up for success. Having one campus, 2 buildings, will allow us to establish one culture for everyone. Everybody reading off the same page towards the same goal. It will allow the teaching staff to immediately align with the previous grade and the following one. This process is vital for student success. I was talking about the clean handoff. When we begin our aligned discussions, we'll immediately see everyone working together to remove impediments for our students. Can we do this? Can't we do this with 2 principals? This is Joe talking out loud. I know this might be a common question, but in reality, every educator has a different ethos when it comes to these things. You could ask 10 different principals about how to align grading levels, and you get 10 different answers. Although the organizational structure may look a little different, there'll still be 2 administrators in both buildings every day, just like we have now. The difference being there'll be one vision for both buildings, and everyone will be working towards it. In my previous position, before I arrived in Richmond, I spent 12 years working at a 712 high school. I was a teacher, department chair, vice principal, and director of curriculum. I directly oversaw the impact of having one vision for multiple grade levels. Watching 7th grade teachers planning with 8th grade teachers and so on up the line, it allows us to carefully have a plan for each student. When teachers share common threads and expectations, students very quickly can adapt to the culture and the vision. I can speak from personal experience this model works and can be transformative for both students and schools. So I feel really good about making this recommendation to our Board of Education. Again, nothing is changing tonight. The only thing that's happening is I'm going to ask for approval for the associate principal's job. So I would be happy to entertain if there's any additional questions or follow up or.
Tracy, can you explain, because one time you referenced 6 to 12 and a couple times you said 7 to 12. I just want everybody to be clear between the difference of what is 6 to 12 and what is 7 to 12.
Great point. So 6 to 12 is all of our students, the academic programming. 7 to 12 is athletics. Thank you.
So there's been reports we've seen on social media about intermingling of students with this change. Can you just reassure the community there will be no intermingling or any change to any of the students in the hallways?
Yeah, we're not going to, the 6th grader, 12th grader are all going to get off the bus together and go into first period together. It's not going to happen. But organically, I can see if there's a kid that has a lot of high school classes, it would probably make sense for them to have a locker over at the high school, just instead of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But so I think those kinds of things will happen organically. I think it'd be good to have a 6-12 pep assembly. How fun would that be? I think it'd be fun. And teach the youngins how to celebrate and how to have a pep rally. So I think those things will just happen. It's really, we want to share staff. We want to make sure that we're being efficient with our staffing. There's some classes that we could work some middle school kids into that don't necessarily have to be just high school classes, and that makes us more efficient and gives kids more experiences and more opportunities. And you heard Joe and Larry both talk about that. Most kids won't see one change on the surface. Thanks, and good questions.
Any other questions? Anything else for?
No, that was my one big splash.
All right. Next on the agenda is public participation, and today we have Mr. Ron Corbett, who is going to talk about armed staff. 3 minutes.
After speaking last month, I kept looking into the issue and just have a few more things that I'd like to bring to the floor and talk about. So, based on the documentation online, it looked like 800 people, or roughly 800 people were surveyed, but it doesn't state, it just says they were residents, it didn't state if they were actually parents. So to me, 2,000 students roughly in the district means between 2,000 and 4,000 parents or guardians should have been surveyed or could have been surveyed. Not just 800 residents. I saw that 230 staff were surveyed, but there's 284 listed on the directory online, so 54 staff or 19% weren't surveyed. I mean, I could swing it either way, the opinions. I also spoke to the New Richmond police chief via email. He stated, it was short and sweet, he stated he had no input and would not speak on the matter to me. He didn't elaborate beyond that. But I also spoke to the Pierce Township Police Chief. He did talk to me for a while. He said that he did talk about it in a meeting last year with the board. He didn't say when, but he did say he talked about it. And he was okay with it in regards if there were proper training. But he also stated that he had no input on what that training was or no input on what was actually adopted. He said ideally another resource officer is a better idea, but that also comes with cost, I understand. The next thing I noticed was that staff must engage a thread. So my concern with that is, as a group of, like my son, he's a preschooler. If his teacher leaves the classroom, he's not going to know what to do. He's going to want to follow her. He's going to be confused. And I think that's probably accurate for preschoolers up to 2nd or 3rd grade. They're not going to understand what's going on if the teacher has to leave and actually engage the thread instead of just staying with the class for protection. A lot of this is just statistics, but research shows 7% of gun-related incidents at schools involve guns brought from home or a relative's home. So to me, it still feels like we're just bringing the danger closer. We're bringing the problem and the danger closer. Research also shows 93% of attacks were planned in advance, with 75% having concerns raised ahead of time. And I know New Richmond has an anti-bullying program and the online portal where you can report things. I mean, that's great. That stuff is, I think that's good. That's what we need. I think more of that stuff, expanding on things, programs like that is what I would prefer. So in summary, teachers seem to be against the decision. Local law enforcement weren't involved enough in the decision. And a small sample of just residents who may or may not have children in the schools was the only outreach that I could find was completed. And for me, that's not enough for my child. And I don't think that's enough for anyone's child. And I think it's letting our teachers down again with just asking them to do too much in an already thankless job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Committee reports.
First one there is a grant. We had a meeting on 15th this month, discussed the satellite program agreement between Bethel Pay and the New Richmond School District. Digital media program, we'll be talking about that later in our agenda, so I won't steal that thunder. But it's going, the satellite program will be expanded to all 4 feeder schools at Grant over the course of the next year or 2. Approved a resolution agreement to use LBAR Design Group for architect, and also Conjure Construction Group as construction manager for the construction projects that will be taking place at Grant over the next couple of years for the addition of space for the metal lab, also the metal fabrication, and also allied health. As discussed, I presented that back in December, talked about it a little bit. That was a grant that we received from the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. So that'll be building onto the building up there over the course of the next couple of years. Upcoming events at Grant, I'll just mention those real quick. Open house, February 22nd, it's Thursday night. April 25th, Community Appreciation Dinner, 5 to 9. April 30th, through May 1st is a service learning trip to Hazard, Kentucky. We did one of those last year with 10 male and 10 female students. This year they're increasing the number to 15 male and 15 female students with 8 to 10 chaperones. Go down and do a service learning project down there. They'll be building basically rehabbing a house for people who come in to do service projects. That's like what they're going down there for. They'll be setting up a quarters for that type of work. So that's pretty much it for Grant, unless you got any questions.
What was the date on that trip to Hazard, Kentucky again?
It is April 30th to May the 1st.
Thank you.
Athletic Council.
Yes, the Athletic Council met on January 30th. We heard a presentation regarding the Coach Beyond program from OSU representatives. This is a program that's offered up statewide and is aimed at providing coaches, lay coaches and otherwise, mental health resources for athletes and opportunities for both in-person and online training. So that was a discussion point for the group. I think everybody embraced the idea of more resources, but it comes with extra requirements for coaches, and we have to balance that as a consideration.
Sure.
We also spent some time talking about AI for ADs. Like most of us in the room, AI is filtering into our world, and we viewed a presentation of an athletic director who was actively using AI to make his job a little easier. So saw that presentation, and then we had a brief update on some possible Title IX legal updates that are still pending.
Thank you.
Personnel.
All right, I have personnel. We met on February 7th. Discussed really 4 big items which are on the agenda tonight. Secondary reorganization, the job descriptions for the associate secondary principal, as well as the athletic director, as well as the revised administrative salary schedule, and just some general staff updates. So everything's on the agenda tonight.
All right. Okay, next on the agenda is the job descriptions.
As I mentioned, I'm asking for 2 separate standalone votes. The first one is the job description for the associate secondary principal. And there, this person will be directly responsible to Joe Stewart, have requirements to be in both buildings, help assist with the right staff, students, and programming. And pending approval, I would like to get this posted.
Okay, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the secondary associate principal job description as presented.
Also move.
Mr. Wooten,
I'll second.
second, Mr. Dufault. Discussion. And as Mr. Miller stated, I think as Mr. Miller stated in his remarks, is we're voting on the job description, and we're committed to doing all those other things that were listed and getting the input from the community and the whole process. So, any other comments? Okay, roll call.
All right. Mr. Dufault?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Wooten?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes. All right.
Hand in hand, to make this work, it's also a standalone vote by the board on the revised athletic director job description for 7, making it now instead of 9 through 12 and 7-12 for all the reasons I mentioned. Our kids no longer have to wear substandard equipment and uniforms.
Okay. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the revised athletic director job description as presented. Ms. Story?
I'll second.
Mr. Whitney? Any discussion?
The only thing I would add for those who are new here today or viewing this online, the black has already been previously approved language. Anything that's in blue is what the new language is. That's all.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, Tracy, I know this is on my wheelhouse. I've been harping on this for years.
At least 5.
Literally been harping on this for years. So just getting this consolidated in high school, getting even the athletes the attention they need, even at the middle school level, right? Just because again, it's just not been where it needs to be over the years. And so I just think it's going to be a better situation for us in the future. So yeah.
And we should probably note, if folks are looking at that saying, great, it's one person and you've just added a lot of work to it. There's also a commitment by administration to offer supports to the existing AD so that he's not overwhelmed and we're actually getting what we need out of it.
Yep, this person will take on a whole other building.
All right, roll call.
All right, Mr. Wooten?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Dufault?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes. All right, item 9, human resource items.
Yeah, thank you. Just the consent items. We've had some resignations this month. And with that, we come hiring some employees. Always happy to have substitutes. Our spring supplementals. Listed there in red. Almost all complete. The revised admin salary schedule, we'll just pause here for just a few seconds. Again, just the red is new language. Up here at the top, it's the high school principal / 6-12 secondary principal, so there's been no pay increases there. We'll leave the middle school principal position there just because there's really no need to take it out. But then we added the secondary associate principal pay level at that level below the 6-12 secondary principal. And those are the consent items.
Okay, it is recommended the Board of Education approve items 9A through 9E.
Also moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
All right, Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Dufault?
Yes.
All right. Ohio High School Athletic Association membership resolution.
It's a annual resolution completed by the board every year, which allows us to participate in all Ohio High School Athletic Association activities.
I'm jumping the gun. I'm like, I'm almost
I
done.
got a long
Okay, here, you read all that first.
It is recommended the Board of Education approve membership for New Richmond High School and New Richmond Middle School to the Ohio High School Athletic Association in accordance with the Constitution, bylaws, regulations, interpretations, and decisions of the OHSAA as presented. There you
So moved.
All right. Need a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Wooten. Any discussion? Recently, they did announce they are expanding divisions, right? So they are looking at that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So, okay. For those who didn't know, you can read about it online. All right, roll call.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Dufault?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
All right, item 11 is Grant Career Center.
This memorandum of understanding, as Mr. Kozlowski shared at our last board meeting, 3 new exciting classes that we're going to partner with the Grant Career Center to bring to our campus instead of kids traveling to Grant, which is still great, but it's coming to ours. They're providing the teacher and all the high-end equipment for these courses. So excited about it. We're going to host it, and in order to complete this, we need a resolution, a memorandum of understanding approved by the board.
Okay. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the agreement with Grant Career Center as presented.
Also moved.
Okay, Mr. Whitman. Any
I'll second.
Mr. Dufault. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Dufault?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Okay, 24-25 school year calendar.
Were we just having convocation? And then this season, here we are, right? So this is the first reading of the calendar. Second reading will be in March. We gather feedback from our classified staff, from our certified staff through the NRTO. It's a very standard calendar, mirrors kind of what we've been going through this year. Those who've heard me say this, you've heard me say this, I'll say it again. There really is very little flexibility in a school calendar, what you can and can't do, how many days you have. If you want to begin, sometime in August and end before Memorial Day, then that kind of locks you in. We are going to have another safety day, where the pending approval in September. We will again have the full week off. We're banked a couple days in the Thanksgiving break, so that will be what we did this year. Nice Christmas break for our kids. They leave us on the 20th. Yeah, so the 21st is Saturday start. They don't come back till January 6th. We have a PD day in February like we did this year. Spring break will be the last full week of March, so we can coincide with Grant Career Center and our feeder schools. And again, we're out before Memorial Day. So having said that, even pending approval in March, negotiations with our certified staff is coming again this spring. Something about the calendar could arise from that. And if it does, if it's something both sides agree to, I would need to bring an amended calendar to the board for approval. So no action needed tonight though.
All right, item 13, Treasurer's Report and action items.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. Item 13A is the approval of our organizational meeting minutes last month. Item B would be the approval of the regular meeting minutes from January. Item C would be approval of the athletic council meeting minutes from January. Item D is approval of our financial reports. These are standard reports each and every month. Nothing really earth-shattering there. Acceptance of donations is item E. We're always appreciative of donations. We have a $1,000 donation there for the Locust Corner Elementary School playground equipment. Item F is a resolution for accepting amounts and rates for collection year 2024 We do this annually. It's a requirement that the county auditor's office likes the Board of, not likes, requires the Board of Education to approve, so we can accept tax dollars for the county. So we always want to do that. Item G is the amended appropriations resolution. We had a increase in our Stronger Connections grant. We received about $25,000 more. So in order to spend that grant money, we need to appropriate it. And item H is a certificate I'll send over to the county stating that we have increased that grant as well. So there's those two items. Item I are 2 confirming purchase orders, both raw chemical from our facility side. I've invited the facilities director, Mr. Cox, to speak on those, both of those confirming purchase orders. If we have any questions about those as well. That is all I have for the treasury report.
Should we wait till discussion? Okay. All right, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve items 13A through 13I. Also, I'll second, I guess, for once. Discussion. Mr. Cox, you just want to explain what happened to the boilers?
Yeah, the Locust Corner boilers are on schedule. As you guys know, Locust Corner boilers are on schedule to be replaced this summer. Like early January, we were trying to limp them all the way without spending money on them. Don't want to spend bad money on something going out. We almost made it. It was middle of January. It was right before it went to 0. They've been acting up for 2 or 3 weeks. We kept messing with them. We called the brawl out. One of the things was the main controller for the burners, which is $4,500 just for the part. You can do all the preventive maintenance you want, but you're not going to change that part until it's dead, until it goes all the way out. So we got basically we was almost at the finish line and we didn't make it. I didn't want to spend any money on them. They're coming out. We can't even use them for parts anywhere else in the district because they're all different types of boilers. But I was thinking, I reached out to the brawl today, and because I'm beating myself up about it, like, should we have a preventive maintenance contract? What would it cost? We have them on the chillers, and I got it today. It's just budgetary numbers. For those 2 boilers, it's been $10,000 a year. And then I think, well, we've never had one on boilers since I've been here. So that's 7 years, that'd have been $70,000. It just looks bad, $15,000. I didn't know, I learned through it too, if I would have called the treasurer's office and got an emergency PO, this wouldn't even be on the agenda. So now I've learned too, when something goes quick, get an emergency PO. I had an open PO with them, but it wouldn't cover it because it got in more cost.
The timing was really bad.
Yeah.
And of course, happened right near the cold snap.
Yeah,
So.
And if we don't want pipes freezing.
Right.
When are the new ones? Are they? What's the timeline on this?
I think
This
it's
summer.
scheduled this summer.
They'll be in before next season.
Is there a service contract with those?
No, they'll come with warranty first.
Okay. Okay.
So we want to do warranty when we do that.
So as part of that energy optimizers plan, the first part was the lighting, second part was the boilers, high school looks.
Monroe's got an electric boiler.
Yeah.
So, and then middle school's all rooftop.
Yeah.
So now the high school will be set up with 2 decent boilers, and the LCE will be brand new boilers. So the only other boiler you have is Monroe, and it's electric, so should be in good shape. It's just bad timing.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Cox.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Luke. You're welcome.
Water you're giving out. Yeah, right, it works.
Anything else on the treasury side? Roll call.
Mr. DePaul,
Yes.
Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Wood,
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes. All right, communications report.
So I will be updating everyone on the winter sports teams at the high school because we are in tournament play as of this past week. We'll start with girls basketball, just basically the order that I wrote them down in because that's the order that I remember them. Girls basketball season ended last week in the first round of the sectional tournament. They had 3 players earn all league honors. Kira Kirk finished second team all league, 8.7 points, 5.1 rebounds a game. Sydney Miller also got second team all league. They shoot the team's leading scorer at 9.4 points per game and the leading rebounder at 9.3 rebounds per game. That led the SBAC and is top 15 in the state for Division II. Madison Steelman averaged 6 points and 4 rebounds per game, and she got honorable mention all SBAC. The boys basketball team has not finished their season yet. They have a tournament game next week on, I believe, Wednesday night at Princeton against either Woodward or Wilmington, based on the seed, probably Woodward. Rylan Utter leads the boys team in scoring at 16.5 points per game. That's good for 4th in the conference and 25th in the state in Division II. Grant Hess is at 11.3% points per game, and Luke Wolf has 8.7 points per game and is the team's leading rebounder at 6. Earlier today, the boys bowling team finished their season in a heartbreaking fashion. They were 1 pin shy of qualifying for the district tournament out in sectionals out across Gate Lanes. Derek Klinker is the first team All-SBAC individual, and he did make it as an individual, but the team was 1 pin shy. They went from, I think, 13th to 5th in the first set of the individual games. They were 13th. They went up to 5th midway through the Baker games and couldn't quite pull it off. They were one pin away. The girls bowl on 22nd at Crossgate, and Megan Kangas leads them with a 133 average. Swimming, Joey Kissing is heading back to the state tournament. He was there last year. He's going back this year. Broke his school record again in the 200 individual meet Bedley. Minute 59.49, so he did it under 2 minutes. That is good for 5th in his district and 12th in the state. Wrestling season also approaching the runway here. The girls team was 6th at Harrison to close the regular season. Charlie Jones took 2nd in their weight class. Delilah Grantham and Carol Foster both had 3rd. 2 others, Savannah Wilkinson and Josie Maynard, placed. Wilkinson was 4th and Maynard was 5th in their weight class. The boys team had 2 placers at the SBAC tournament at Williamsburg this past weekend. Mason Pardini was 4th at 106 pounds, and Eli Stark was 4th at 157. Both of those teams have postseason stuff this weekend. The girls are out at Hamilton on Friday, and the boys are much closer at Western Brown on Saturday afternoon. And then finally, the academic team has their league tournament this weekend. They are 9-3, tied for 2nd in the conference, and they're at C&E Saturday morning for their SBAC meet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes.
Mrs. Story.
Yes.
Mr. Wood.
Yes.
Mr. Fall.
Yes.
Mr. Five.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.